The Haunting of Hallows Academy, Chapter 1. The challenge in the quaint town of Phoenix, Arizona. Nestled amidst the sweltering heat, there stood a smaller but extraordinary elementary school known as Hallows Academy. At the helm of this unique institution was none other than the remarkable Mrs. Garcia. She was not your average principal. Her enthusiasm for learning was infectious, and her love for books, especially spooky stories, knew no bounds. But beyond all, she cherished Halloween, which she lovingly referred to as the holiday spirit. One fateful day during a district meeting, Mrs. Garcia threw down the gauntlet. She challenged all the schools in the district to a remarkable competition, a field trip challenge. The prize was nothing short of magical, an all-expenses-paid journey to Massachusetts to delve into the history of the Salem witch trials, complete with a scholarship for the winning school's students. However, the catch was that only the school with the highest attendance rate, the best overall combined grade, no discipline reports, and no staff reports would emerge victorious. Chapter 2. The announcement. The news spread like wildfire through Hallows Academy. The students, parents, and staff could hardly contain their excitement. With Halloween approaching, this was the opportunity of a lifetime. A trip to Salem, Massachusetts, filled with history, mystery, and the thrill of Halloween, was a dream come true for everyone at Hallows Academy. Just before a full week of fall vacation, on a sunny Friday morning, Mrs. Garcia gathered the school's community to make the long-anticipated announcement. Good morning, Hallows Academy. I am pleased to announce that our school has won an all-expense-paid trip for students in grades 6 to 8. Your parents will be provided with permission slips and itineraries. Chapter 3. Preparing for the ultimate Halloween. With fall vacation on the horizon, most students, parents, and staff dedicated themselves to preparing for the grand adventure. Flights were booked, permission slips were signed, and excitement filled the air. The trip was scheduled from October 28th to October 31st, promising an unforgettable Halloween experience. As the school buses rolled into Salem, Massachusetts, the students' faces were filled with awe and wonder. However, Mrs. Garcia was about to face an unexpected challenge. She hadn't realized that the winners of the competition were responsible for arranging their own lodging. As panic began to set in, a sudden storm struck Salem, forcing everyone to seek shelter. Chapter 4. A haunting rival. Desperate to find shelter from the storm, the group stumbled upon a retro-style motel located behind a Walmart. It was owned by a man with an insatiable passion for Halloween. Unbeknownst to them, he had planned a few spooky surprises to enhance their stay. Disguised as a masked villain, he roamed the hallways in the dead of night, knocking on doors and leaving eerie Polaroid pictures under them. The eerie experiences left the guests terrified. Mrs. Garcia demanded answers from the motel owner, who offered to comp their rooms and allow Hallows Academy to leave without charges. Chapter 5. Departure and Discovery. The next morning, the school buses were fueled and ready to depart. As they left the motel, the owner watched them disappear into the distance. Returning to his daily chores, he entered one of the rooms he had cleaned the night before and found a photograph on the floor. It depicted him wearing the same clothes and hairstyle he had that day, seemingly taken from behind him. Another picture showed the back of his head, taken on the same day. Terrified, he reached for his phone and called Mrs. Garcia, but she was already en route to Phoenix, leaving him alone with the eerie presence that haunted the motel. Chapter 6. Unsettling calls. As Mrs. Garcia and her crew returned to Phoenix, she noticed a missed call from a Massachusetts number. When she dialed back, all she heard was a disconnected tone. Puzzled, she began researching the number, which led her to a man named Steve Francois, who had passed away 4 years ago. Strangely, he was the previous owner of the motel they had stayed in. Recollections of encounters with this man and complaints from her crew resurfaced in Mrs. Garcia's mind. She had unknowingly taken the children to a haunted motel, and the ghostly presence of Steve Francois had turned their Halloween trip into an unforgettable and slightly eerie experience.